drink a little bit.
No. Did you? Yeah, I thought you opened your drink before, and I was. What is happening right now?
It was instinctual, so like I just saw a drink in front of me as we were chatting, and I'm like, oh, I should have this right now.
I heard that, so I got to catch up. You're not even going to hear it because I have to open it with a paper towel because I'm a baby.
No, legitimately, I mean, it's...
1, 2. Wait, so like, what did you just
open? I still got it. The same one. I popped it a little bit. Like, I popped it a little bit, and I...
You realized and stopped yourself.
I popped it a little bit, and I was like, oh no, I have to do it for the ASMR. Oh no.
That's very, very funny. What are you drinking tonight? Is it any better than last week?
It better be. And it has to be, actually. That's the right answer. No, it's Kona's variety of spiked seltzer. Okay. This is the tropical punch flavor.
Not bad, not bad.
It was available.
I forget who, but someone in my Instagram feed the last couple of days, or like maybe it was even an ad for all I know. I think their caption was something along the lines of like, Mom, I'm bringing 4 friends home for the holidays, and it was all 4 flavors of the Bud Light seltzer.
Yeah. And I saw another one that was like preparing meals for the holidays, and like it was a white claw casserole, and they just pulled they just pulled tinfoil back on a tray of just White Claws that they had covered, and I'm like,
oh, okay.
Yeah, I get it.
That shouldn't have even been my reaction when I thought maybe someone was cooking with White Claw, because you
can't cook with White Claw.
You can bake with Blue Moon. With Blue Moon.
You can cook with booze, 100%. Yeah.
Okay.
But like, you don't want the flavor of White Claw. Like Blue Moon actually has a distinct flavor that I can use. It has the orange profile.
Yes.
White Claw is just hand sanitizer that gets you drunk. I don't know.
Oh no. I'm glad I don't drink White Claw. So, guys.
There's some good ones.
Hello. A happy Thanksgiving. I hope you all had a wonderful holiday if you're celebrating, and that you were all staying safe. And if possible, you could spend it with loved ones. So what we're going to do tonight is we are pushing pause on beer pong yet again, because we wanted to give this episode of the Merri Hour the Friendsgiving vibe, because you guys are our friends. We want to get you involved. It's going to be a very chat-heavy episode, so if you want to jump in and ask something, please do. And then later on in the show, after Matt and I blab for a while, we're going to bring in some friends of the show so you could get their thoughts on things. It's going to be a good time. We're hanging out, we're drinking, talking movies and TV.
I was gonna say the translation for that is it's a holiday and we didn't want to put too much work in, so you do the work for us.
Beer pong isn't any work though. I feel like I have really it's so robotic for me at this point, where it's like I have my little beer pong kit and it just goes out on the table and it gets set up and that's it.
My cups are unfilled, just sitting there waiting to be filled up. That's not the work. The work I meant more is.
I'm so glad you said they're unfilled.
I know, Perry. I cleaned them now. Don't worry.
I'm still a little scarred from
Dude,
that.
Whatever. It's just water in a cup. I don't care about it. First topic.
All right. First topic. Hold on. Let me bring up the page, because before we get into some of our favorite movies and shows that we're thankful for from the year, we have a review for you guys. So I'm all set.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Are you ready for this one?
I'm ready for this one.
Yeah, I'm not ready for this. It makes me sad to give negative reviews. I guess you know how I feel about the movie now. This is a review of Superintelligence, starring Melissa McCarthy. So she plays a woman named Carol Peters, and she leaves the corporate world in hopes of pursuing a path where she can actually change the world for the better. And while she's busy doing that, she's targeted by an AI that wants to learn more about humanity. And the reason the AI picks her, and the AI is voiced by James Corden. I'm already losing you on this one, Matt. He picks her because she's super duper average. So anyway, the AI tells her that she has three days, I think, to prove to it that it should save humanity.
But specifically by rekindling her relationship with Bobby Cannavale's character, who she walked out on because of her own ambitions, completely left him. They never get into it, which is number one, the most infuriating part. Like, the setup for this entire movie is the fact that Melissa McCarthy's character has to rekindle her love with Bobby Cannavale's character to prove to the AI that humans are capable of doing the right thing.
Doesn't he not even show up until halfway through the movie? I feel like the supermarket scene is like nearly the midpoint.
It is nearly the midpoint. Number one, that scene is just atrocious. Number two, there's no dramatic stakes ever. There is no dramatic stakes because they just walk back into each other's lives and there's no reconciliation. There's no point of any of it. I don't know. They were separated for 3 years. She just left him there and like left him high and dry. And he's like, oh, cool, you're back. All right. And that's not how life works.
No, I don't want to like obsess over that one supermarket scene the entire time, but it's also a very strange scene. I feel like in particular, his character feels like a completely different character in that one scene compared to the rest of the movie. Did you notice that at all?
Are you saying there's development in this movie?
Yeah, there's not really. Definitely not in his character, George. I think the one thing that I really did not necessarily like, because I don't think it was as well executed as it could have been, but the one thing I appreciated about this movie, actually it's two things, is that Carol, Melissa McCarthy's character, isn't kind of, a bumbling, silly character. She's not the butt of all jokes. She's actually a very bright woman and she's very capable. And I like when she plays those roles because I think she is fairly believable in them. And again, it's not necessarily how it plays into the whole situation, which is absolutely ridiculous. But I just prefer Melissa McCarthy in those capable roles. The other thing is, I did appreciate that this was more subdued and a little less heightened. Like I think there is something that they're at least trying to get to about humanity and what makes us good and what makes us grow and doing the right thing. Again, Matt, I know it doesn't land as well, but I feel like I know what they were trying to do. And sometimes that kind of goal in a movie where you expect a certain type of humor is at the very least appreciated.
I mean, it's appreciated that they tried something, but it's not appreciated that they failed miserably. Like, those two things can exist. I understand that they had the best intentions, but the movie's not funny. Like, the movie is never funny. It is playing the most low-hanging fruit jokes. Like, the first joke I know they're trying to do something more serious, but the first joke they use McCarthy for is her trying to sit on a giant beanbag. And that scene goes on so goddamn long of her just trying to jump into a beanbag and falling off repeatedly.
It feels like a joke from the early 2000s or something.
And then they do Melissa McCarthy can't find the exit gag where she's just walking around Microsoft headquarters because she can't find the exit in the camera. Like, all of these things are so dated and they're so flat. Like that's the highest bar they're reaching for here. There's a cameo, which is funny for a second and then isn't because they drive the joke into the ground. The entire movie is just based on the idea that James Corden's voice is funny, which unfortunately it's not. I mean, like, that can't be the only joke you have going for you. The romantic angles are atrocious. Like I said before, the stuff between Melissa McCarthy and Bobby Cannavale, they have great chemistry, but the impetus for the relationship is absolutely non-existent and it makes no sense. And also, it's just...
It was
product placement is so fucking bad.
It is.
The product placement in this movie. This is an ad for Tesla, Microsoft, and what was the third one? There's James Corden. It's just James Corden. So if you want to be sold those three things, Superintelligence is the movie for you.
Yeah. Back to the relationship thing. It didn't even. They do have chemistry. I like the two of them when they're. I mean, I guess it's Ruby and Spy, if my memory serves me correctly right now, but. They came across to me more as friends, and that didn't play especially well. And I don't know. I guess it might have been written into the role, and this was the intention. But it felt like Bobby Cannavale was trying to play it like too young and goofy.
I don't get his character. Honest to God, I don't get his character. Like.
I didn't really either.
He's a creative writing, like, I don't know. He got a fellowship somewhere in Ireland, and like he's obviously good at what he does, and he's an intelligent person. But then the rest of the time, he's promoted as this like bro character who like is just a Seattle Mariners fan. And then again, apparently he had his heart crushed by Melissa McCarthy 3 years before because they were living together, and she just walked out on him. And the first time he sees her, his just reaction is like, oh, hey, how's it going? And I understand that stuff can happen, but there's no establishment to tell us they ever got over that hump, I guess I would say. Like, you can't just tell us that they suffered a terrible breakup, again, through James Corden voice, because James Corden says, oh, you had a terrible breakup because I read your emails. And that's the only mention we get of it. And then they just walk back into each other's lives and everything's fine. It's like, this is the most superfluous, like, just surface level bullshit, like, AI movie I've ever seen. It's
also an AI movie that doesn't entirely know how technology works.
It doesn't at all.
There's a bunch of things where I'm like, that makes no sense. I'm not going to spoil anything for you guys, but there's one particular thing that happens in the third act of the movie that I'm like, what? Like, this is this way, so this can't happen, and then you let this happen. No.
Yep.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
I do. The entire movie infuriated me. I was not happy at all.
No, I wasn't. I didn't find it funny. And the sad thing is, I'm rooting so hard for Melissa McCarthy and Ben Falcone to make a good movie together, but
they can't.
I know. It's like, I'd probably say at this point they're 1 for 4 in my book, and
what's your one?
Even then, Life of the Party is just passable to me. I thought Life of the Party was fine. Tammy was probably one of my least favorite movies of 2014, and the other one is The
Boss,
which I just had no. Yeah, it was The Boss. I had no patience for that.
I love Melissa McCarthy as an actress. I think she does tremendous things, but her working with Falcone has been one of the worst partnerships she's had. Relationship wise, good for her. I'm glad they are happy and healthy and all these things, but their professional partnership is atrocious.
We should probably take like a little baby step back here, because I will say, I don't necessarily think that there's anything about Ben Falcone's direction in the movie that I think is just absolutely atrocious and shows signs that he shouldn't be directing.
No, their partnership. I didn't mean him as a director. I meant.
Well, yeah, but I just also want to highlight that Steve Mallory wrote the script and not Ben Falcone or Melissa McCarthy. But even then, in all of the movies that I've seen him direct, there isn't necessarily a spark of style that makes me want to root for him to direct something over someone else. So just being able to go through the motions isn't necessarily something that speaks to him being a director with lots of potential too.
Again, I'll bring up the no stakes thing because I feel like that plays into the atmosphere of the movie as well. Like, your script had no stakes, and a Ben Falcone movie, the ones that I've watched, again, with Melissa McCarthy, they all just have the same constant tone. There's no ups, there's no downs. Like you just said, it's a movie. Congratulations, you filmed it, but there's no command of any scene. It's just, let's get through it and we're done.
Yeah.
And it's robotic. It's robotic in a way, and comedies cannot be robotic. Comedies are the one, like, the most, it's the hardest genre to kind of do, where if you're doing the same thing throughout and there's no variation, I guess, you're going to feel it. You're going to goddamn feel it.
Just for the record, in case anyone's wondering, the two of them co-wrote Tammy. They also co-wrote Life of the Party, and then they wrote The Boss with Steve Mallory, who single-handedly did the screenplay for Superintelligence. You know who I felt real bad for while I was watching the movie? As in, the role was so bad every single time I saw him on screen. It hurt me because I like him so much. Brian Tyree Henry. Oh no!
Brian Tyree Henry was
so cool in his first opening scene, where I'm thinking, the two of them could make a good team, and then they just take his character and they do the most ridiculous things with it. It was just ripping me to shreds.
Yep. I think every supporting, even Sam Richardson playing Ben Falcone's agent sidekick, like, they do all these scenes where the government has to go against the AI and like talk to it. And even those scenes were just horrendously unfunny. And also they kept throwing in jokes about Ben Falcone being married to Melissa McCarthy, where if you don't know that fact, it's just not funny. So not only are the jokes not funny, but you're throwing like in jokes that you hope everyone understands that land even less.
Yeah. There's only one way to describe this movie: a gigantic swing and miss. And that's why on the Dewey Decimal movie scale, I'm going to give it 1.5 Deweys out of 5 on the Dewey Decimal movie scale. I really don't have that much good to say about this movie. I think there's small pops of chemistry, even if it's the wrong type of chemistry, between Cannavale and Melissa McCarthy. And every now and then I see her doing what she does best here, but we're talking about a movie where I would probably say 95% of the jokes fall flat. The core of the movie can't be supported by a movie that doesn't know how technology works. It's a pretty big disaster.
Yep. I was going to say, I will gladly give it 1.5 Deweys because of all the reasons you have said. And even if you think James Corden's voice in a toaster sounds funny, you'll laugh once this entire movie. So even then, it's not even worth it.
I can't wait until we wrap this show so I don't spoil it for everyone. And I could just have, like another yelling session about that one part in the third act that is driving me nuts.
I'm just going to say one thing that's not in the third act. This is not in the third act at all. This isn't a spoiler at all. Okay. She dances with a fucking Tesla. There's a whole scene where she has a dance-off with a Tesla, and it's the most embarrassing thing I think I've seen an actress do.
Matt, don't you want to buy a Tesla now so you can dance with it?
I do, but I never want to watch a Melissa McCarthy movie again. So, take that for what you will.
Oh, man. All right, guys. That is our review of Superintelligence. Before we tune out of this part of the show, this lovely review was brought to you by 4 Patreon supporters. We have Efren and Justin, my 2 fantasy football patrons, who I think are both doing very well in the league. We also have Ruben and Iman, who have been part of the campaign for quite a while now. So to all of you, thank you for being here and for making that review happen. Now you don't have to watch Superintelligence on your own.
Congratulations.
All right. So Matt, we've got lots of stuff to get through, but I think we should, I have a bunch of things. So okay. I was kind of excited to do this topic tonight because we all know 2020 has not been the best, and there's a lot of very seriously devastating things happening to the world right now. But you guys kind of know the attitude I have on this channel. I will reach out, grab, and hold tight to any little thing that brightens my day. And fortunately, we've had a lot of great shows and movies come out in 2020 that have done just that. Whether it's for one viewing or many viewings, if it came out earlier in the year and I've had time to be obsessed with it. And I know Matt has a whole bunch of passions himself. So what is the first thing you want to highlight on this Thanksgiving show, Matt?
Put me on the spot here. Okay.
Maybe a long lead up. I thought maybe you were thinking about it.
Not at all. I haven't thought about anything, Perri. You know that. I think I'm going to make it easy to start with because I do have the 2 I talked to you about. So we'll get to those eventually. I'm going to make it easy to start and say one of the things I am most thankful for this year, in a year where stateside films, theaters have closed. A lot of films have been pushed back, and there's been a large reliance on VOD. And I think the horror community has bounced back the hardest in this area because I have seen so many good international horror films. And I am most thankful this year, especially for the platforms that are giving international horror their due. And that is the Netflixes and that is the Shutters. They're all there. And, looking at my list of my favorite horror movies of the year so far, it's not a lot of American stuff. In fact, it's really little American stuff because right down the list, just looking at La Llorona, Sputnik, The Platform, Monstrum, the first 4 I just looked at are all from different places.
Do you know what I have? I've got His House, The Platform, Relic, and Sea Fever.
Right. And Sea Fever Irish right there. If that's not even just because it's English language doesn't mean it's essentially an American movie, obviously. So there have been so many great international horror films this year. It's the area that really stepped up. And again, for horror fans, it filled the void that did we get Host? Of course, but Host was still England. That wasn't even American. Mm-hmm. So it's that was an English production.
I thought you were going to list that off.
Yeah. Oh, no, exactly. Don't worry. I was going to get there. I really think by the end of the year, I don't think an American horror movie will be in my top 10 as of yet, except for Underwater. It could be there. I don't know how it's going to land, but Underwater very well could be in my
I
top 10.
didn't really like Underwater.
Oh, I dug Underwater. I'm an Aqua horror fan, so I kind of just dove right in. Pun intended.
What is Spontaneous's country of origin? Is that a U.S. production?
That's a U.S. production.
I guess the ones that might be on my list. Like, I really did like The Hunt. It's not in my top 10.
I did too. It won't make my top 10, but I had fun with it.
Fairly high up there. And as we discussed last week, I also have, I really like Run, and I have that fairly high on my list at this point.
Yeah, I mean, my top 10, we have a lot to get through still. I'm not thinking specifically my top 10, but I am looking at like my favorite horror movies of the year. And again, international is just like the theme this year. They're so far flung, like Korea, Japan, everywhere. It's Russia. There's a Russian horror movie in my top 10. How often does that happen? So,
can you tell me what that is?
Yes, it's Sputnik.
Oh, it's Sputnik.
So it's like, yeah, Sputnik's great.
You know what? We're finally getting, not finally, it like actually caught me off guard, and it felt like it was happening too soon. But we recently started to get award screeners, and I believe it's the IFC, not necessarily physical package, but their screening link package came through, and I saw Sputnik on the list, and kind of marked that one off to watch ASAP. Yeah,
we got the IFC Midnight. I got the IFC pack today, so you're gonna get an IFC pack too.
A physical pack?
Yeah. So that's not the Midnight though. The Midnight stuff came digitally, but we're gonna get all the IFC, which is good because I want to see Shithouse and stuff like that.
I'm in like a little bit of a panic because I'm obviously still in New York, and I have my mail being forwarded, and I told all my organizations that I'm a part of to change the address, but I've still had a couple of packages show up in my California address, and so I'm a little worried about that. I had something good I could tee up here. So I know the thumbnail says movies, but there's also been, and I think it is because of the nature of lockdown and the types of things that we're seeing most often being released, at least this year. I have covered more TV shows than I ever have this year, and there are a whole lot of them that I freaking loved. I mean, you know how I feel about Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist.
You know how I feel about Zoe's.
I know. I think it's one of the best of the best, and I'm so excited we're getting more soon. Haunting of Bly Manor was a big one for me. Discovering Pose, at least. I know they didn't release a new season in 2020, but Pose is phenomenal. Dead to Me. I mean, even when I think back to earlier in the year, the love, just the joy that Love is Blind on Netflix brought to my life was kind of ridiculous. But
can you believe some of the stuff we streamed at the beginning of quarantine? Just to think that that was so long ago, and the fact that it's still
not even in quarantine. It's the things that I saw and streamed in January and February that are really throwing me for a loop, because it feels like I watched those things years ago. Really, Love is Blind feels like it was years ago to me.
Yeah.
But another one that I can't totally vouch for it just yet because I still have a couple episodes to go, but I saw Matt bring it up in the chat here. Queen's Gambit was a great show. Anya Taylor-Joy proved she's a great actress, that she does. Matt already loved her because of her performance in The Witch. She is so, here's something I can say with certainty before finishing the show. She is so perfectly cast in that role. Every single thing that Beth Harmon calls for, she just absolutely nails it. And the show makes me want to play some chess. Are you going to watch it?
When I eventually. So my newest binge that I'm going through very quickly is The Mandalorian, because I have never started it until today.
Oh yeah.
And I'm already halfway through.
Well,
I'm at the episode where Space Dad tells the child, "Don't go outside the ship." And then the first shot they show is the door going down, and he's just standing there and he looks up, and I'm like, yeah, I'm in. I'm fucking in.
When you catch up and get to the latest episode of Mandalorian, we should do a review at that point.
Yeah, I'll that'll be
wherever it's up to.
It'll be next week. Don't worry.
Okay, good. Because I finally started watching season 2 of The Mandalorian earlier in the week, and I was planning to just binge it all week, but a set of screeners came in, and it was for a whole season of a show, and I told myself, I love this show. I'm going to space it out and enjoy this over the longest period possible. And I just burned through it in 48 hours. So now that that's done, I'm going to go and watch more Mandalorian.
I'm a burner the same way. Like I started Mando this morning and I'm already like last night, sorry, and I'm already almost done with it.
Usually I do like binging, but usually I'm pretty responsible. Like, you know, when midnight or 1 a.m. rolls around, I will stop. I did not stop the last 2 nights. I couldn't. It was definitely one of those situations where even if I was responsible and like closed my iPad and went to, and like made myself go to sleep, I still wouldn't have been able to sleep because I would have been so desperate to know what happened next.
Yeah. And then Red Hood saying that is funny. You said stay out if you haven't seen the last Mando episode. Yeah.
I know.
I'm so far behind that I don't worry about it, but it is so funny that the minute it drops, it's just out there.
Matt, I don't even know if you would know what half of those spoilers mean.
So here's the thing. I know odds and ends facts like from the Clone Wars like animated series and stuff like that. So like I knew what the reveal was that we're not saying, obviously, but like I only knew it by name. That's it. I didn't know it by significance, just by name.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I mean, there's no avoiding it for me because we're constantly, you know, planning coverage on Collider. So sadly, a lot of the big spoilers have been revealed every step of the way. But still, I've watched 2 episodes of the new season, and I'm fairly into it. I'm most excited for the latest episode, though, because of said reveal.
From what I've been told, like the whole thing for me is obviously adorable little creature plus space dad, and it's already like episode whatever I just hit was a really good point of that, but I heard like season 2 is way better with it, so like I'm just burning through 1 so I can get to like more of the interactions between like I already saw the clip that's basically the Baby Groot scenario where Rocket's yelling at Baby Groot not to push the button, and it's that whole thing of like don't do it, and you just see like the wires obviously in Mandalorian, you see Baby Yoda with like
I keep getting distracted, so my mom got me this really comfy, cozy sweatshirt for my birthday last week. But like, it's like a fuzzy material and like little fuzzies keep like, do you see any of these? But like, I feel like a cat just they trying to back.
I can't see any of it.
Here's a fuzzy. Can you see that fuzzy in my hand?
I can't. No.
Just like I see them and it's so distracting, but the sweatshirt's so comfortable. It's worth it.
All right. Should I go now?
Yeah. You're up.
I'm going to go. I'm still not going to hit my 2 that I want to hit to. I'm going to say I'm thankful for the bounty of cooking shows that have come out on streaming since quarantine happened, because I am a junkie for all that kind of like anything that hits on no reservations or like the old Bourdain kind of stuff or a cooking challenge show. Like I started quarantine with a 10-season binge of MasterChef, and like it kind of just kept going from there. But like the new stuff specifically, like we got more The Chef Show, we got more Someone Feed Phil, Somebody Feed Phil, sorry. And I'd never watched it until right now. Do you know what that is, Perri?
No, I'm going to Google it.
All right, so Phil Rosenthal, you know, Everybody Loves Raymond. He just goes to different places, and he is. It's no reservations, but with like Mr. Rogers in a way. That was how my one friend described it like that. And that is the best description of it, because he goes to any city and he explores their culture, but he cares so much about connecting with people. And that's like the biggest thing I want in my like food shows, I guess I would call them. The fact that like we can't be in restaurants right now, and it's kind of that level of it's a little FOMO, but in the same way, the way that Phil connects with people and the way that he treats food, not as we're going to show you how the food works versus no, like we're going to sit down at a table and talk to these people who made it and like get into their lives. It's so good. So I've been binging stuff like that. And there were 2 shows that like hit me so hard. It was the Chef's Table barbecue one. I think I mentioned that before, but they just specified a few different barbecue masters in America, and you get an hour of their story. And it's just so amazing, like the journeys they've went on, and the way like they pulled themselves up from nothing using barbecue, and now they're taking over the world in a way. It's so good.
There's one for you, Matt. Thanks, Evan.
Yeah, there you go. Perri can attest to the fact that I've cooked for her many times.
There's literally nothing I can do about that. Nothing at all. I make Dewey's food. I plop it out of the can and I put it in the microwave for 5 seconds, and then I serve him a piping hot meal. Do you know that last night I purposely opened up a can of like turkey flavored cat food so he could take part in Thanksgiving?
I did not. Now I do.
Yeah, it's important information. It was really cool though, because usually, or at least every single year since I've moved to LA, I've never spent the Thanksgiving with Dewey because I've always flown home to be with my like human family. But to be able to have us all together this year was kind of nice.
You've always got a seat at Friendsgiving when we can be together. Last year we did the whole turkey and everything. We did it ourselves.
It sounds so nice. It is. We could do that for real.
I was gonna say it was nice because it's like we got to do the family dinner where we all made things and we made like a full spread, but then we got to be dumb and drunk afterwards without the judgment of your parents. It's great.
I guess I don't really get drunk in front of my parents.
Yeah, my parents don't like it. My mom, who's watching right now, is probably cursing my name out.
Oh no, yeah.
In any case, my last thing on the food thing, though, is Bob's Burgers Thanksgiving episodes. Tying that in, because it's about food, yes, but especially not being able to go home this year. And I wrote about it for What to Watch. I did a little retrospective on the Bob's Burgers Thanksgivings, is the fact that they're so good at doing the dad pun humor that they're known for, but then undercutting it with the real emotional stuff about Thanksgiving and the real things that matter. It was the big savior this year to be able to watch them all in a row. And the newest episode is probably one of my favorites. So big old shout out and a thanks to Bob's Burgers.
That sounds nice. I feel like I had something else to say before about the Thanksgiving drinking thing, and I totally forgot. Probably wasn't that important. Matt.
I'm getting a drink. Yeah, go ahead. You do it. Do your thing.
All right, guys. Caleb. I feel like Matt purposely does this because he's just sucking so hard in our fantasy football league that every time he sees Caleb's super chat come up, he purposely like has to go get an. Well, I bet you anything that seltzer can is like half full. And
I can hear you the whole time. You're not being sneaky. Like I have headphones in.
So I'm having a little bit of a dilemma right now, Matt. And I don't know if you're going to want to comment on it because you don't want to give me the edge in our league.
Oh, I'm out of the playoffs. I'll give you whatever you want.
I had a very, very good Thanksgiving where not only did Deshaun Watson finally do really well, but Duke Johnson actually played, and fucking Antonio Gibson, he's so good. But anyway, Thanksgiving winds down and I'm feeling so great going into the weekend until more Ravens players tested positive for COVID, and now that game was moved to Tuesday. So my question, first up, though, I need to say, like, players' health is of the utmost importance. If that needs to be moved to preserve players' health, that is the top priority here, no matter what. I definitely don't want to make it seem like this is any other way. But for fantasy football's sake, I've got one Steeler and one Raven. Do I wait it out and assume that game is really going to happen? Or do I immediately swap in players? Because I have a wide receiver that I can swap. Maybe not as strong as the Steeler wide receiver I have, but that I'm willing to do. I do not have an extra tight end on my bench, though. I have Mark Andrews.
I mean, they have to give you enough. So basically you're saying they don't. You're right.
My biggest concern is that the games get played on Sunday. And then there's some,
and then you can't put them in.
And the game is canceled for week 12, and I'm just left with two eggs. You know
what are your options, really quick? Who are you missing?
I'm feeling very good about the wide receiver situation. Like literally, my entire bench is wide receivers, which I know.
So swap it.
I know.
I would say swap it. Don't,
but
don't cost it.
My bigger problem is what to do with Mark Andrews, because I'll have to pick up for fantasy's sake, a shittier tight end and drop one of these wide receivers. And I'm a little sensitive about dropping any of them because they're all pretty good.
So I would say swap your wide receiver and gamble with Andrews then, because honestly, tight ends have been such a crapshoot this entire year. You have one of the best ones where if he plays, it's great. If he doesn't, honestly, I'm other leagues I have, my tight ends put up 2 points a week anyway. So it's like, I don't think you're missing out on much.
I'm also currently projected to beat Barkhan by 50 points.
Okay, so yeah, so gamble with Andrews, put in the wide receiver.
I really needed to beat him too to give me like a firmer shot in the playoffs. This was very important. All right, thank you for entertaining my fantasy football rant, and Caleb, thank you for giving me license to do it. All right.
Also, for the record, I know I'm not doing well in our league. I'm in second place in my other league that I play in, and I'm on my way to the championship.
Wait. I'm gonna add to your argument here. For the record, I'm pretty sure in our critics league, you do have
an ungodly amount of points.
I'm pretty sure you have the most points for. Do you have the most points for at this point? No, you're behind like 2 or 3 people. But anyway, you have a lot of points for and the most points against.
Against, yeah. I've been scored against more than any person, where I was the second point total for 3 weeks in a row, and I played the first point total every single time.
You know who has the most points for?
Fantasy football.
It's Kaylin.
I know. Yeah, and you know what? She auto drafted. She's an auto draft.
It's crazy. I'm like pretty high up there actually. I'm not all that far behind you guys for points for at least, and I do have 4 points against. All right,
your turn.
Next thing.
I have 2 more I want to get to, so we're gonna get everything in.
I'll do a 1-2 punch of Netflix genre movies and let you guys know that at this point in time, The Platform and His House are both in my top 10. The Platform isn't the most pleasant watch, but I think it examines many of things that we're going through today and really in the past and probably the present in an incredibly creative way. It is also just a very, very well shot movie. The production design is absolutely incredible, and I can't stop watching that movie and wondering, I know this might not happen, but I can't help but to wonder what the world beyond that facility is like, and also what other individuals in that specific facility, if not in others like it, are experiencing, and how somebody else might conduct themselves in that kind of situation.
If that's just one experiment, imagine if there were like a world of experiments.
Yeah, I think it's many more. I'm almost picturing it like a cabin in the woods type of situation where, you know, like every country, if not every city, has their own type thing. But anyway, I could go into my made up The Platform universe nonsense.
Please do. I have a made up the Purge universe. I have my own Purge things that I want to get to.
Wait, so yeah. I have to bring it back to football for one quick second. What was the game that was on? It was the Cowboys and Washington, right? That was last night. Do you know what their third down audio is? It's the Purge siren. That's not right. You shouldn't do that. Right?
I mean, sure.
Very distracting. I don't know. Anyway, the other movie that I wanted to bring up in this little package here is His House, which I know, Matt, you love too. It is just a huge accomplishment, not even just for a first feature, but for a feature period from Remy Weeks. I really just can't wrap my mind around the fact that it is his first feature. It's got 2 phenomenal lead performances, and both of these movies kind of play into what I like seeing genre strive for. It seems like more and more nowadays, which is offering a chilling and entertaining thrill, but doing so with purpose and actually leaving you with something to take with you, whether it's a new way to approach a particular terror in your life, whether it's something like you've brought up with Relic, like a real human condition that many out there do experience, or maybe something like His House, something that you've never been personally exposed to in your life, but you need to come to understand it through a horror movie of all things. I just really love what the genre is doing in that respect. And those are 2 movies that I think do it particularly well.
I agree with you. Those are 2 very good movies that do that very well.
I had a feeling you would.
So I will easily play off you then, and you've already mentioned Relic and the way that I think about Relic, and I will bring up the fact that I did want to call out specifically Relic and The Dark and the Wicked, which some people in the chat have already mentioned, as I'm thankful for horror movies that they get the haunted aspects right, so they're able to do a haunted house, and that's well and good, but they also aren't afraid to deal with like mortality in a way that's not fun. and that's heavy. And, you know, it's one of those instances where you can see that horror movies are more than just spooks and ghouls. Everything in Relic and everything in The Dark and the Wicked is about loss and grieving and what we do to ourselves and, you know, how that weighs on us. And they're able, again, Relic does it in a tremendous way with that transformation and showing how hereditary things are passed and, you know, the shedding of the skin, all those things. That is so symbolic and that is so genius of a story that is just a human fear and something we've seen a bunch of times, but it's so fresh because we haven't seen it done that way. And, you know, The Dark and the Wicked, I won't get into it because that came out in November. I guess it came out early November, right? Yeah. So all I'm saying is, again, it's about kids have to go home. A parent is not handling something well, and there's another sick parent. So you're dealing with dementia. You're dealing with, again, an ailing parent that probably doesn't have much time left. And the way that they're able to deal with the haunted elements and bring in these things that we feel so deeply still, I respect the hell out of that. So it's like when you have a horror movie that does everything, it isn't just there to entertain you. It's there to make you think. It's there to make you do all these things. So I specifically am thankful to be able to feel something when I also want to be entertained.
Yep. I echo that also. I just have to bring up this one from Red Hood right here. What about the transparent person? I feel like we've both had many opportunities to name drop Invisible Man and we haven't, but I will also tell you that that might be somewhere in my top 10 at this point as well. I really
given. I feel like that's like one of those given ones. I don't think it will be in my top 10. I'll be honest. I don't think it makes my top 10, but
it
top 20,
might not make my top 10 in the end. Like right now, my list is extremely messy. Basically, what I took the last 2 days to do was to go make sure I went through and had every movie I had seen on this current list. But I was discussing this with Rosa, another Patreon member, the other day about the idea of being lucky enough to see something at a festival and putting it on your list, but then realizing it's not coming out this calendar year and having to move it. So I've kind of been, you know, going through the entire list for that reason, amongst many others.
I have an Excel sheet at all times of things I watch per year, and I have it literally tabbed out for festivals, and when they get distro, they get put in a different cat. Like, I am insane about this shit. I keep it ranked at all times.
Are there formulas in
yes, absolutely. There's filters and formulas because I get to filter. So that's the thing. At the end of the year, when I have to do like my horror top 10, top 20, I just click a button. No, it's my secret. You can't have it.
I know people take their secret Excel formulas.
It's literally just an Excel spreadsheet.
Can you just answer me one thing? Where is Superintelligence on your ranking?
Are you kidding? It's so low that I can't even put it in the filter. It's just off the filter grid.
I can tell you at this point in time, and I really don't like my bottom 6. I'll tell you it's third to the bottom at this point. There's only 2 movies below it.
I have 0-star movies. Like Superintelligence for me crack some of the these things I'm looking at, like Wrestle Massacre and Human Zoo and
I haven't
Creepy Tales of Pizza and Gore.
I haven't seen those movies. My stance on zeros is that almost no movie deserves it unless it's actively harming people, because a movie can be really bad, but when you think about the amount of just man hours and someone on that set was passionate about something, and even if a movie seems like it doesn't work from top to bottom, I would still like to bet that someone in some department is doing their job well, and usually I can find a reason to get at least to that one and have that level of respect for the amount of time, energy, money, and passion that goes into it, whether or not it winds up turning out well.
So here's an episode idea. You're going to watch the 3 movies I just rattled off, and you're going to tell me your ratings on them.
Can we wait until I finish my 2020 ratings and my rewatch?
Oh, yeah, I'm not talking about right now.
Okay,
I'm not talking about right now, but that is something I want to challenge.
Wait. If the challenge is to watch those 3 movies that you gave zeros to, and I don't lie about anything. The challenge needs to be for me to find something good in those movies, and I will not say it unless I wholeheartedly can get behind it, but I will do that.
Also, and technically you're right. I gave them a 0.5. I take it back. It's a 0.5.
I don't know. I think that's the effect that Film School and Child Eater had on me. I know how hard it is to make a movie.
I do too. Don't underestimate, but like,
if I also know that there are some movies out there that actively have a negative effect on those that watch them. And I don't mean something like a movie making you sad or scared or something like that. I mean a movie that is potentially
like a bad movie. Yeah.
I think that there are those, and those might be the ones that deserve the zeros. But anyway, in a more positive sense right now, who is up, me or you?
I just did my whole little
all right
feeling things.
I will say,
bro.
I definitely want to name two more at least before we bring our guests in. I will say that Hamilton has been one of the greatest joys of the year for me.
That's fair.
I tried to get tickets for many, many years and I couldn't, whether it was because I couldn't get them at all or I could get them and then couldn't afford them. And I got a little stubborn about it, and maybe this part is my own fault, but I didn't let myself listen to the soundtrack unless I could see it in its full form. I didn't want to ruin it for myself that way, and maybe some view that as not necessarily ruining it, and I respect it if that's your stance. But the opportunity to be able to sit at home safely and see such a phenomenal show, and even though I've become obsessed with it after the fact, just the fact that I had that opportunity at all is something that I'm truly grateful for this year. I absolutely adore that show, and I don't know where it's going to fall as far as rules with award season, but that production needs to be honored with something for the way that was captured and how it made me feel as someone sitting at home watching a Broadway production, because there is real artistry to that I think needs to be recognized.
Ian is literally watching Hamilton right now with his family.
Are you serious? Are you serious?
Just straight up.
That's kind of cool. I feel like that might be the perfect Thanksgiving weekend movie to watch.
Yeah, right? Like, legitimately, I think it might be. Also, I got beef with Red Hood now.
Why?
Because Red Hood just commented, "The Boy Next Door had a negative effect on me," and that's a wonderful movie.
Yeah,
The Boy Next Door fucking rules.
I might have to disagree with you on that one as well.
Can you ban Red Hood can you ban him for like 5 minutes? Just like a 5-minute timer.
No, I'm not doing that to him.
Just a 5-minute.
No, I refuse. All right, one more movie that I do want to name drop before we roll into guests.
Wait, I didn't get to do my next one. I got one more.
I thought you were done. That's why I wanted
we have time. We have time. We have 15 minutes.
You go.
Give me my goddamn time, Perri.
You go.
My last one, and it's a 3-movie call out, is the triumvirate of, and it's like a weird combination, I think, to put together, but Palm Springs, Spontaneous, and Birds of Prey. And the connecting ties to me, wait, hold on, what are you laughing at?
I'll jump in and I'll say the last one I wanted to name drop was Palm.
Okay, I know. Okay. So, all right. So, well, you can still do it because I'm going to take.
No, this is good. I like this.
I'm going to take the other way and say, I like the way they represent the fact that being messy is okay. And I mean that in the sense that there are very Hollywood ideologies about how things look, how things work, relationship-wise, just normality, things that way. And these are 3 movies this year that are really, really good at saying that life is pretty fucked up, but there's still ways to maneuver it and there's still ways to get through it. And whether that's Birds of Prey, where it's Harley Quinn just stumbling through things and trying to find herself and doing that and being able to, or Palm Springs and the idea of romance and relationships and the ways that, society sees it versus the way that some people just kind of get stuck into, or Spontaneous, which is literally about the world is shit, but we still can find ways to survive it. Like, I think those movies are a really good triple bill for some reason. And I am thankful for the fact that I'm not saying, well, I don't have my shit together. Well, let's just be honest. I just don't have my shit together as much as I should. So the fact that I can watch movies and feel a little better about myself and the idea that there are other people that think the way that I do, it's nice. It's good.
Matt, I feel you on all of that. I'll tell you, Birds of Prey is fairly high on my list, and Palm Springs most certainly is going to end up in my top 10. I can say that with the utmost confidence at this point, and Spontaneous is not far behind. But those kind of lean into what I was describing before with His House and the Platform, where you can get the entertainment value of a movie that kind of sucks you in and has that kind of energy to it, but one that tells its story with great purpose. And in particular, I think Palm Springs probably had the most profound effect on me. And the interesting thing that I experienced with that movie was first seeing it at the top of 2020 with all of the hope in the world and leaving that theater, looking at their journey and thinking to myself, I might not have my shit together in certain departments, but I can do it and I will change my future. But then lockdown happened and I rewatched the movie when it was actually released, which I think was a month or two into it. And
it was.
It added an unsuspected a tinge I wasn't quite ready for. And I don't know. I guess it was like a little bit of a tinge of sadness and hurt, but also, it inspired me to like kind of desperately search for that light at the end of the tunnel. So when the opportunity does arise, I can break out of this monotonous routine in this box of a room I live in and actually do something.
Yeah, I think I didn't see it obviously at Sundance, so I didn't get to have the ability to see it outside of quarantine. I saw it just when it hit Hulu, and man, like legitimately the J.K. Simmons arc, it hurts so bad, but at the same time it's so uplifting. And putting those two together, it was a weird 2020 vibe meets quarantine vibe meets like. Yeah, man, sometimes just kind of rolling with the punches. It's not that bad.
I think I had one specific reaction to it in January, and I just, I didn't think it was possible for me to have not a completely different experience, but a pretty drastically different experience with it the second time around. And I think that just speaks to how good that movie is. I really do love it.
It's real damn good.
I feel like I was going to pull up another chat that I seem to have misplaced. I don't even remember anymore. I'm sorry, guys. There was something.
No, a lot of people are mentioning very good movies. I know. Mark Chapman just mentioned Come to Daddy, which I that was one of my favorite. That was a great little discovery this year.
I need to watch that. All right, we have our first guest here.
Uncle Peckerhead, Songbird, hell yeah.
First cow.
So I'm going to start my rewatch. I've just started my award season binge yesterday with The Way Back. So I'm officially digging into the things I missed, and First Cow is next.
Well enough.
I kind of really like it.
The Way Back is very much in the middle of my list.
That's fair, but I mean, Affleck though, attention.
Yes. All right. I'm going to bring in our first guest for Merri Hour Friendsgiving. 1, because I really like her, but 2, because I really want to get another beer. Hi.
Hey.
Wait. Before either of you say anything, can I just tell the world something super cool about Christy? Christy, hands down, gets the most thoughtful birthday presents. And it sounds like a silly thing because a card is just something you buy and so many people throw them away. I've never thrown a Christy Puchko birthday card away because there is always something super thoughtful written in it that really, the time you take and the fact that you remember every year, it just it made me so happy. It always makes me happy, but this year in particular. So
thank you. I was so worried because I put it in the wrong stack. It was in my Christmas card stack. And I found it. Oh no!
It's legit behind me. It's behind. I put it. You can't see it because it's so far back. Right? You see it right behind the snowman.
I do.
Right here.
Happy. I'm glad. I do make an effort to. I do try to. As James Taylor says, shower the people you love with love. Show them the way you feel. Am I the first person to quote James Taylor tonight?
Maybe. You do it in a very special way. Okay. I am going to go here, and then I'll
switch. Wait, can you switch the view to put Christy in? So there should be a view that puts us on the side and like our guest can be the larger screen.
Oh,
Is that one of the views?
whoa.
Yeah, like that. Yeah. So now, so
Wow.
now we could do it like the guest is the bigger one and we're the two
I
on
like
the side.
that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put you on the spot then in the big
That's
box.
fine.
While I was doing that, do you know what this is? Do you know what I'm doing right now?
No.
I have the world's
Wait.
smallest exercise bike.
Are you on one right now?
Nope.
Wait, okay. Is it one of those? Wait, legitimately.
I am. I swear to God. Here, let me see.
I believe you. Yeah, I believe you.
Yeah, there's like.
So I didn't know if it was one of those under the desk ones.
So, hey everyone.
I didn't know if it was one of those under the desk ones that you can just put the pedals under you and
No,
like you can go
I saw those
okay.
after I bought this one, but yeah, I was like standing here and just feeling restless. So I was like,
I'll just get some reps in.
yeah, whatever. Anyway, hey,
That's fine.
you should watch First Cow though. First Cow is one of my faves of the year.
That's next. The IFC stuff just came to me too. So there were like
Cool.
2 in there I wanted to see. Like I think it's called Shit House or something.
Yeah,
Like,
I should maybe give that one another watch. I tried when they did the
Okay.
initial release, and I just was not getting into it. And it was one of those times where there was so much to watch that I was like, I don't have time for this.
You're overwhelmed with everything. Yeah.
Yeah. Today I watched A Call to Spy, which was fine, and Driveways, which they're promoting for Brian Dennehy's performance, which he's good, but he's in it so little that like if you have a long list of stuff to watch,
Oh yeah, I do. That's the issue.
Like First Cow had a lot of hype at the beginning of the year, and then the world fell to pieces. But I am really rooting for First Cow. First Cow is just a really lovely movie. Just you need to watch it though with the ability to have a quiet space, because it's like a very like quiet, slow film. But I'm really glad that was one I saw.
Movies,
Huh?
like most of her movies. Am I thinking?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I don't normally like that from her stuff. Like I'm like, she's not my speed. But this one I sunk into so well. I feel bad that like people won't have the chance to see it in theaters for FYC, because I feel like you really like isolate, like put your phone in the other room and just watch First Cow and like let it wash over you, because it's I'm a sucker for a Western anyway, but it's a very unconventional Western. I'm very into it.
Yeah.
Fun fact: the cow from First Cow is on Cameo for $30.
Is that true?
Are you serious?
That's 100% true. Yeah.
I
you
really
can have the
want
cow.
all my Black
You can have the
Friday
cow.
today.
Send a message to someone for $30.
Are there other movie and TV animals on Cameo?
There's so many. You can find
I was about
the
to make
best
such
and
an
worst
inappropriate
things.
joke.
You can find the best and worst things on Cameo.
Now I want
Right.
to know what it is.
I'll tell you off
We got-
air. The thing is, it wouldn't get me in trouble. It would get you in trouble. So I'm just not going to go there.
No, thank
Who's gonna get us in trouble?
Now
Who's
I'm
gonna get us
even
in
more
trouble?
curious what it was, because it felt like it would get me in trouble.
Yes.
Oh no. Okay. Let's do a great transition and ask Christy what she's most thankful for in the TV and film division of 2020.
I like we were talking about First Cow. There were so many amazing movies that came out like by female directors this year that just knocked me out. And like not all of them got a ton of attention, and some of them got bumped a bunch of times. But like First Cow was amazing. I really liked Blow the Man Down, which is on Prime Video. I love that movie.
Why are more people talking about Blow the Man Down?
I don't know. I thought it was so sensational, and Margot Martindale is so good in it.
She's so good in everything, though.
Everything.
Maybe that's why
I feel
people
like
like.
she's a little underappreciated across the board.
But it's like, if anyone hasn't heard of Blow the Man Down, it's like it's set in Maine, and it's a gangster movie about little old women. It's so good. It's so good. But I love Blow the Man Down. I love Saint Maud, which didn't end up opening here. It kept almost opening here and then opened in the UK.
Where is Saint Maud?
It's in the UK.
And so, are they gonna release it at all in the States?
I don't know. I hope. Here's the thing. I kind of hope they wait until theaters are back, because at this point, why not? But here's the thing, because Saint Maud has such an incredible sound design, and like unless you have an amazing surround sound system in your home, you're gonna miss that. And like watching that movie, being in the space of the character through sound is so important. So I'm kind of, it's the same thing as like Promising Young Woman. I'm so excited it's finally getting a release, but I'm also torn because I wanted to watch that again with people in theaters, because I watched it in like a screening room with like 6 other people, most of who were men, which is an experience.
it gets an audible reaction at many points in the movie.
Yeah, I'm excited for that to finally come out because, like, I have thoughts, and they are under embargo right now, but I'm excited about it.
My review broke for the first release date. Like, I literally got my review up on time, and then they changed it after that. So literally, I posted my review the minute it was supposed to post, and an hour later, they changed the date, and I'm like, great, this review is useless. Fantastic.
That surprises me that there's any embargo at all, because not only was that situation for the theatrical release, but I was also able to review it out of Sundance. So it's not like it's a situation where out there.
I think in this scenario, it's trying to kind of get to regain momentum because they've had a rough year of like so many movies that just kept getting bumped. And I loved Birds of Prey. I thought Birds of Prey was phenomenal. I rewatched that again this weekend because I finally got my HBO Max to work because so here's a fun thing. Apparently Apple had a promo. I bought a tablet for my birthday and it came with an Apple TV.
Wait, like a physical Apple TV?
Like the receiver. So that So now I have that. So I'm finally able to watch HBO Max on my TV. So
the device you bought came with an Apple TV. You didn't get an Apple TV through one of your guilds. No, because I asked other people. Did anybody else get an Apple TV? I did. Wait, maybe it was through a guild then. I thought it arrived the same day as the tablet and no one else got one. It might have been a coincidence because I did get one.
I saw Candace Frederick get one too. I saw people posted pictures of the.
I'm no signage on it at all, so I assumed it was a promo deal. Well, that's cool.
I'm very, very grateful that they did send that because the Apple TV that I had, thankfully I'm here in New York and my new fancy one where it has the App Store and I can download screeners.com and all that kind of stuff. Right. The Apple TV I have in my LA department is. I think it might be 8 or 9 years old at this point, and it does not have the capability to let me watch any of my screeners.
That was my first guess, but when I asked around to nobody else I asked had gotten one, so I was like, oh, maybe because I bought an iPad. I was
very, very surprised, relieved, and grateful when I opened that box. Sure. Now when I do go back to LA and there are no screenings for a while, at least I can watch my movies on a proper TV.
Yeah, and that has been cool, because for people who care about the stuff, now instead of us getting physical DVDs, mostly I've gotten just links and go to this app and enter this code. And
I will say I prefer the links always, especially now when we're home all the time. It's just quicker to pull up a link. But anyway, the only distributor I desperately wanted something physical from was Neon.
I got that.
Neon every damn year. Neon,
I had 2 of them.
Neon,
you got 2.
Neon has some of the best films. Period. Yeah.
But there were some murderers in it. I'm gonna get it out.
Season 2 is just perfect, and
it's so cool,
beautiful on a bookshelf. I'm just so happy to physically have those films.
Yeah.
So, the people who don't know, typically they send you screeners and they specifically tell you to throw them away at the end of the award season. But Neon doesn't play that game. They only has the DVD there.
Hold on.
It's so cool. And then it's the idea is you keep it. So I made the mistake of the first year. I actually did throw my first one out because I felt weird that I was like, I'm supposed to keep these. And now I regret it. I have the other years, but I don't have the first year anymore.
I missed last year's because I moved.
I don't know what happened. Super hosty, super unfriendly.
Wait. Is someone echoing? Hold on.
What's happening?
Dude, sorry, for some reason your voice doubled and we were getting double of you. So you were repeating and echoing on yourself. Yeah, there was a glitch in the Matrix.
Yeah,
there was 100% a glitch in the Matrix. Okay, we're back. But so I missed last year's.
You may have missed this because it came out at that period where everyone wasn't sure what was going to happen, but never, rarely, sometimes, always is phenomenal.
Oh, good.
It's a really, really sensational film. I'm very glad that they're also sending around the screenplay because I think it's a really good screenplay. And I hope that it gets attention for that. And it's not a screenplay and the Knives Out, witty banter. It's just doggedly authentic. And it's about this girl who lives in a small Pennsylvania town and she needs to get an abortion, but she can't do that in Pennsylvania because there's all these laws in Pennsylvania. I came from there. So it's real. She has to go to New York City to get one because of all these laws. But she's 16. She can't, she doesn't have money. So there's this whole, it's so stressful to watch this girl just have to just be on the subway all night because she has nowhere to go. Oh, I watched this sitting next to Kimber and Kimber Myers and I were freaking out the entire movie, just like wanting to like reach out and help these girls because it feels so authentic and so real. And like the moment with the, I can't even, it's so good.
I'll never forget at Sundance when nobody could remember the name of that movie unless you've seen it, because if you've seen it, then you will never forget the name of the movie.
Yeah. And there was some other movie this year that had a similar name that everyone was like,
I did see that one. That one was with Bill Nighy, and it's called fuck. It's like,
I don't know.
We have never, rarely, sometimes always. And I think that one is like sometimes, rarely, shit.
It was the, yeah.
They were supposed to come out within 2 months.
It's about Scrabble. Well, it's not about Scrabble, but it involves Scrabble.
Yeah.
Now you can tell which movie I think is much better than the other.
Sure, but I mean, also like they're doing very different things. But yeah, it was a cool year. It was
never, for the record.
Yeah.
Sometimes always never is the other one.
That's what it was. But yeah, it was a really like it was frustrating because it was like there were all these amazing movies made by women, and then we had this year where like it is just way harder to talk about VOD movies in any kind of sustained way because everyone's attention is so scattered. But you know, I'm excited to finally get to talk about like Promising Young Woman. Finally, I'm hopeful Saint Maud will find another release date. But yeah, I know it's like, I'm like, what are movies you thankful for? Ones that didn't come out yet, but Birds of Prey, Never, Always, Sometimes, Never, Rarely, Sometimes, Always. First Cow is phenomenal. Blow the Man Down is so good. I'm kind of running into a problem where I keep getting these screeners and I'm like, what if I just rewatch this? And this is not directed by a woman, but Swallow is one of my absolute favorite films of the year.
Oh, so good. Swallow is
so
very
good.
John Waters is top 10, which totally makes sense. It's like, of course, John Waters.
Oh my God, yeah.
Swallow. Yeah. I saw that one at Fantastic Fest last year. And it's a movie for people that don't know. Swallow is about a woman who... Did you freeze?
Oh, no. Did we have another unfriended host moment?
I've been coming in and out. Have you guys seen that? Sorry. Like, my screen keeps going in and out on my screen.
Don't appreciate it. It is. Thank you. Yeah, accurate.
Could be me. Although my internet's impeccable. It's not me. Fuck you.
But
me either.
Oh, and you know what? The other one, this again has nothing to do with anything I've been talking about, but the movie that I love desperately and will make my top 10 and will probably give me some side eye is Eurovision Song Contest: The Story of Fire Saga.
I'm all for it. It's okay.
I've watched it, I kid you not, 7 times.
Because it's wonderful. It's delightful, and I can't stop listening to those songs.
Yeah. It's like, I mean, I've had some like dark moments this year, as I'm sure many of us have. And like, if I want to be pulled out of that moment, I put that on, and it's just like from the ABBA opening to like Dan Stevens. Like, if there were justice in the Oscars, he would be nominated for this movie for Best Supporting.
And everything Rachel McAdams.
She's so great. But like, I feel like she always gets regularly overlooked, but it's also a really strong year for there's a lot of really great female roles coming out this year. But yeah, Dan Stevens, like from the moment Lion of Love comes in, and I know he didn't say
Lion of Love is so good.
It's amazing. He's just like with his shirt open, like it's so good. And it's like, maybe you lose something if you don't know what Eurovision is.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I may have told you guys this or not before. I don't know. My nieces and I were talking on a video call the other day, and they were like, "Aunt Christy, we learned a new song," and I was like, "Oh yeah," and they were like, "Yeah, ding dong." It was the best day. I don't know why they learned that song because my sister had seen that movie and was just like, "I don't get it," but. Like,
that's my favorite song of the whole movie. I've maybe watched a lot of that. What is it, like a 4-hour cut of the song that Netflix uploaded?
Yeah, I had it on like during a work day while my husband and I were both working from home, and he was like, "Can we just pause it for like a little bit?" And I was like, "We've only been listening to it for 20 minutes. Like, it's 4 hours long." And he was like, divorce. So, we had a good run. It was like 11 years.
Oh, God. Zach will get on board. I promise you that.
He does. He likes the movie, but it was just the idea of listening to Ya Ya Ding Dong for 4 hours straight. He was not into for some reason.
Tell Zach I think nothing's wrong with that. And the next time I come to visit, I'm just going to play that over.
Also, the Netflix thing is what they did was they fed in like in between the guy who would just be like, "It's never enough," which made me happy every time. They would just like feed in a little line of dialogue, and it's like, I don't want to play it anymore. And he's like, play it, and then they play it again. And I'm like, yeah.
He was also interviewed, and he is a respected actor in the area, which is hilarious. And he's like, I just had to go there and just yell, yeah, ding dong.
Yeah, he's so good. I read an interview, and they were like, did they tell you what to say? And they said, no, you're just really excited about this song. So he played it really intensely, and I think it's perfect because, like, we've all been there. We've all gone to a concert, and we're like, boo, don't play your new shit. Nobody cares about that. Like, we've all been in that place.
Song.
Yeah. Man, like, that's what bums me out. If this were like a proper FYC season, I would like to see them like actually performing that places to like get people stoked. But like that wouldn't be a safe thing to do. So
man, would I love to see that one the song along scene done at the Oscars? I wish.
Man, like that scene, like, and the thing about that scene is that when they introduce Conchita Wurst, like that was my first Eurovision that I sat down and actually watched was the one where Conchita won. So for me personally, I was like. But yeah, I'm obsessed with it. I thought that movie was great. And like, you know, I actually feel like it got kind of mixed reception. But I feel like people are gonna go back and revisit it and be like, is this movie genius? And I'll be like, yes, I have been saying.
It's also one of those movies, and I think this is a good quality. It's gonna sound like a little bit of a backhanded compliment, but you know those kinds of comedies where you watch it the first time and you're like, that's not that funny, but then you watch it again and it gets funnier and funnier and funnier. So Eurovision is a great recommendation.
The more you watch it, the more you pick up on little jokes that are just so idiosyncratic.
There's a lot of them. So we have a full house in the background here. I'm looking at 3 individuals, Christy. I'm giving them numbers 1, 2, and 3. You say a number, and that's who's going to come in next.
Okay, I'm going to say 3.
All right, we got this. Christy, thank you for joining us and sharing your recommendations. We love you. Happy Thanksgiving. Happy Friendsgiving.
Yeah.
We'll see you next week.
I'll be back some other week.
See you soon.
Goodbye, Christy.
Love you. Number 3.
No, on the big screen. Look at me on big.
I'm number 3.
Small again. Now I'm fucking small again. This sucks.
How you doing?
Good. How are you guys doing?
I'm obsessed with Among Us. And all I do is play by myself, or like not by myself, but with strangers in the middle of the night where all you have is the chat function and you're not verbally speaking to people. And it's not the same. It's not as fun, but it is fun.
It's a very different game.
I'm always the crew member. I'm never the imposter ever. Like I've played dozens of games at this point and I've never been the imposter.
I feel like I get a decent spread, but it's a very different game because, I mean, you end up messing yourself up later, but like someone just has to be like blue sus with like nothing and like blue's getting voted out.
That's the thing is I feel like every time I play with strangers with the chat function, like no one ever has anything of value to say and it's always just like random color sus.
Red sus, orange sus.
And then like that's it. Because it's so, and it's hard. You're also typing horizontally, which is very difficult.
Just typing, period. It's like sometimes like I'll be so into something and then it's time to type and I'm like, I just don't feel like it.
Yeah. And then everyone's like, blue's quiet. And you're like, oh God, it's because this is so hard to do.
Or I tell everyone who the killer is and no one believes me. Y'all murder me instead.
That is truly the worst, getting voted.
Yeah, no worse.
Getting kicked
I'm
out.
like, hey, I saw the killer. And then everyone's like, well, Donato, though. Fuck you.
Thought I had lipstick on my teeth. I was just being paranoid.
I love how you use the camera just to be like, oh, is that bad?
You're in here, and I, listen. I was number 3. It happened fast.
You're number 3. I get it.
It happened
so
fast.
what have you brought to the table? What are you thankful for?
Okay, well, I'm gonna be overlapping potentially, but what I did bring to the table was Birds of Prey, which should surprise almost no one.
Absolutely no one. Absolutely no one.
Yeah.
I will say I'm happily surprised to see that so widely loved. Like I was a little afraid because it was a February release that it would fizzle out too soon.
So yeah, because it was February release, I kind of forget that it's a 2020 release all the time. So every time people are like, what are your favorites of 2020? I almost never think of it, but like, it's definitely one of my favorite movies. So I don't know why. It was so long ago. It was like, I went and I saw it in a theater with, and I hugged and kissed people hello. So it just feels like it was a million years ago. But yeah, Birds of Prey, not just because it's the best movie, but also because I feel like it really like reinvigorated and reignited DC Comics movie fandom, which was really in like a dark place. And it's still not in a great place, But I think that like the movie fandom just kind of got like, all we care about is like, Snyder cut, dark, brooding, whatever. And it was kind of, and then Joker happened and it was different and they were doing something new, but some people loved it, some people hated it. And this was kind of like, we're doing something so new and it's really awesome and fun. It's for the ladies. I mean, it's not only for the ladies, but it's obviously very female focused. And I feel like it just like totally reinvigorated that whole fandom, which is really exciting.
I love that movie. It's pretty firmly in my top 20 right now.
Yeah.
I'll never forget walking out of that screening, just like absolutely buzzing to the point that I couldn't sleep when I got home that night. I couldn't stop replaying some of my favorite scenes and lines, and I just felt so hard for that whole ensemble. And I think the DC film franchise was reinvigorated before that for me. I think Shazam was the game changer for me. I love the vibe of that movie, but to get, I correct me if I'm wrong on this order, but I think it was Shazam, and then it was Joker, which was so unique and different, and made me feel like weird things at times, because I had a weird journey with Joker where I was like kind of scared and upset by the whole thing while admiring the craftsmanship, if that makes sense. But then to go from that to like an absolute party with Birds of Prey, it just shows that franchises.
Don't forget Aquaman.
Oh yeah, Aquaman. That's true.
That was the first DC party movie.
That's true. That's a good point.
Aquaman,
Underwater party with Patrick Wilson.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I shouldn't credit like. I guess Birds of Prey isn't like the only movie that resurrected it. Maybe it's the one that did it for me, and I feel like
I was gonna say I don't think it's. I'm not saying Aquaman did it first by any means. I think Birds of Prey did it the best in the way that it reinvigorated, because I'm all for Aquaman. I'm actually team Aquaman. It is just this dumb underwater like heavy metal meets fucking like Atlantis weirdo oddity. Yeah. But Birds of Prey was actually good though. I James Wan, all respect in the game, but he made a fun movie. Birds of Prey is a good movie, and it does the fun aspects as well. So for me, I think Birds of Prey was that first movie that showed that DC could have its fun and also tell a really well told story. And also, we also didn't have the female arcs in DC to that point. We didn't have that kind of focus where Aquaman is still Aquaman. And well, that's right. Sorry.
Good.
That's true. There's Wonder Woman. Right. I really liked Wonder Woman.
The thing was after Wonder Woman came Justice League, and admittedly, I thought Justice League was stupid fun. I get why people want a different version of it, but like I didn't hate Justice League by any means.
I also feel like even though Wonder Woman was definitely its own thing with like its own creator, it still really felt DCEU, as where Birds of Prey, it does kind of potentially take place in a universe that overlaps because we're getting Harley Quinn back, but it really felt like it didn't take place in the same universe aesthetically. Like it did because we had the whole Joker thing, but it was like, no, this is a brand new tone and vibe, which I think is really cool, because I think what DC has really tried to do, and I think failed at, but I don't know that I know a lot of people don't agree with me, but I think DC is trying to do the comic book thing where they have a bunch of different stuff that all connects, but it's all really different and standalone, which I think is really exciting and admirable and fun. I just don't think they've done a really great job of it. But I think Birds of Prey did that. It's like, this is a Harley story, and then this Harley story is going to be it's going to be completely different. And I feel like that was really successful.
You're not wrong. I feel like the DC film franchise, or at least the most recent iteration of it with BBS and everything, I think people needed to figure out what worked, and we saw a lot of testing things out and then embracing the good rather than the stuff that folks didn't necessarily take to as much. And I think the result is something like Birds of Prey and Joker, them embracing that aspect of it.
And I'll say the dumbest last thing I'll say is color. It's such a simple thing, but Birds of Prey had actual color to it, where going back to the Wonder Woman thing, I do put it in the same world as the Snyder movies, and I like Wonder Woman. I am staunchly in its camp, but Birds of Prey just felt different because it just had fucking neon colors. That's it. Like, that's the only big differential there, but it just showed that things could work in that level. Yeah.
It even had some of the same like visuals as Suicide Squad, but looked completely different because it was just like
exactly,
pink
and it's a
blue.
different lens. That's it.
Yeah.
It just didn't. It was saturated in these beautiful, vibrant bursts of color. Whether that's the yellows and everything that Harley's about, and it's like, oh wait, you can actually like see other things than grim, dark, gritty. Sorry, gritty is the word. I think,
which is
not like the Philadelphia gritty, like the real gritty.
Her like moment, aside from like all the brightly colored moments in that movie, of which there are many, of course, the like final showdown, which is 10 out of 10. But that like moment where Harley's walking down the street by her explosion, and it's lit in like pink and turquoise instead of like blacks and gray.
The thumbnail of this video.
We're just like, hell yeah, and it looks real. It doesn't look like there's like lighting on her, but when you're watching it, you're like, oh, this is Harley's world. She's not even red and blue anymore. We've gone pink and like pastel blue, and it's so cool. And
also, as a New York transplant, egg sandwiches, man, I miss just a breakfast bodega egg sandwich in that scene. Just only the one, maybe like 2 or 3 times I've missed New York. That's one of them. Watching that sequence and being like, I can't just walk hungover to my bodega and get a fucking sandwich for $1.
Have you had a bagel or a piece of pizza recently?
Oh,
What, from LA?
I hope not.
Pizza, I found one good one. We'll talk about this later because that's an LA thing. We don't need to talk about it loud, but bagels, no. Bagels, fuck them here. Nope.
Bagels are problematic in LA.
Absolutely. I won't touch them.
Well,
On the East Coast.
Curious about it before, but since being in New York for lockdown, no, it's like
I'm from Jersey. We got Taylor ham, egg, and cheeses out the wazoo. This is what we do.
Yeah, the bagel thing must be tough. I don't know how you're adjusting.
Not a bagel guy. It's fine.
I'm very convinced at this point that when I do come back to LA, I'm going to bring a bunch of bagels with me and have to freeze them.
100%. I used to do that when I was like in a different, like I'm in Toronto, it's obviously different, but I was in a different city for school and I would bring bagels with me and freeze them because I was like,
was it Montreal?
No, Toronto bagels, which are very different from Montreal bagels.
Interesting.
Toronto are much more, they're different, but they're much more New York style. Like it would be much more familiar to a New York bagel than a Montreal bagel is a whole other thing.
Hopeful. I think I
prefer the
more
Montreal. I don't know if I'm going to
than I have in my entire
out for that.
No disrespect to Montreal bagels, they're delicious, but
Lindsay,
I just watched the Someone Feeds Phil on that. Sorry, but go Perri.
I was gonna say we couldn't play the numbers game right now, but like both of the next 2 options have disappeared and reappeared. So the pressure. I love that I can see them, and I'm like, who is she gonna pick? 1 or 2?
I picked 2.
Okay.
Good luck. This was so fun.
You can all see my view right now. Thank you so much for joining us.
Do they know who 2 is? Bye, Lindsay. Thank you.
Bye. Thanks for having me. Do you have to kick me out or do I leave?
The birds
Get the fuck out. Get out.
Birds of prey. Woo.
Number 2.
Oh, it's me.
I love how no one knows what your number system is, Perri, but you. No one has any idea.
The number is just what like order you guys appear in my little backstage area. Because if I tried to spice it up anymore, I wouldn't remember who was who anyway.
Oh my God, poor one.
and
poor one. Oh God.
The worst part about it is that number 1 was the first person to sign on.
This is making me sad for number 1.
Sorry, one. Sucks to be one.
How are you doing? Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving. How are you all?
Very, very good.
Doing better now.
I'm just happy that Matt's not drinking his peppermint patty Bud Light garbage.
Yeah, I drank all those last weekend. Don't worry. They didn't go to waste.
Patty, is that what it was? Or did I just make that up? Chocolate peppermint, whatever it was called? No? Is Matt,
Matt, you would know.
Is he just not speaking for fun? I think he's froze, but his eyeballs keep moving.
No, you keep freezing on me, Perri. Sorry.
Oh no!
I didn't hear anything that you just said. I saw Jenny's screen, and Jenny was fine, and you were frozen. So I didn't hear what you just said.
I don't know what's happening right now. I'm gonna run an internet speed test.
It's in the ghost of number 1. They're
what am I asking? Wait, what am I answering?
I'm pretty good. What am I answering? What was your shitty Bud Light seltzer called?
Peppermint patty. It was literally chocolate and peppermint.
Right,
It was the worst.
I was right.
Yeah. I just had starfruit and lime. It was delicious.
That sounds
I don't
better.
know what starfruit tastes like, but it was that flavor. I don't know.
Starfruit is kind of citrusy. I would liken it to a kiwi or a grape, almost like a bit in between, like very citrus but sweet.
I like
in texture.
I know I have strawberry guava. It's delicious. Kona coming through with the seltzers. But we're not here to talk about seltzers, Jenny.
Are we?
Wait. What are you drinking, Jenny?
I am drinking natural wine. It's from Paris, and it's from a brand called O with an exclamation point. So like, oh.
You're too classy for the show. What are you doing here?
Leftover wine from Thanksgiving.
Don't we all know?
What did you bring for us today? We're talking about movies and shows that make us thankful. What you got?
Okay, so for 2020, I am most thankful for my ongoing obsession with foreign films. And so I brought Undine, which is a German film from Christian Petzold, and it played at New York Film Festival, and it's based off the myth of Undine very loosely, but basically it's about a woman who is very attached to the water, and there's like mermaid elements and stuff like that. It's really good.
How do you
we like mermaids here.
How do you spell the title for folks who want to look it up?
Wait, am I frozen or is Perri frozen? Sorry, me and Perri are having problems apparently.
It's okay. It might be mine. I don't know.
No, you're fine. It's been the whole time.
Oh, okay. So mine it's Undine, Undine. So it's like undine.
Right. Yeah.
So.
No.
I feel like you're not the first person that I've heard bring this up this year, and I'm like trying to figure out why. If it's because of like the director or a star in the movie that I've seen recently.
So Christian Petzold, he did Phoenix, which is one of my favorite movies, but last year he did Transit, which I think was a really popular foreign film amongst them.
That
anyway, it's really good. But also two other foreign films that I brought to the table are one's called House of Hummingbird, which is a South Korean coming of age story. Matt's like pointing.
Because I've heard of that one, and I'm like, it's actually on my list to watch this year. I'm like, I actually want to watch that.
He knows the movie, or because someone's frozen.
No, I want to keep moving just to make sure I'm fine. Like as long as I'm moving, then you guys know I'm not frozen.
Yeah. So this one's really good. It has kind of some like lesbian coming of age undertones. It's set in the 90s in South Korea. I actually saw it last year and programmed it for my film festival, so I'm partially cheating, but it came out this year on VOD, so I'm counting it.
Oh no, I think we count more the theatrical release than any. I think that's the biggest factor. Yeah, definitely.
I was having that discussion with someone recently. Where, like when you curate your best of 2020 list, it's not necessarily what you've seen in 2020. It's what is accessible in 2020.
But if you talk to different people, it's so like Rob Hunter at Film School Rejects, he makes his lists for the year that include festival films. And so it's like, but that's not how it works. Like, right. We were top 10 of I yell at him all the time. I'm not talking behind his back. We would have this fight in public, but like
doesn't serve the reader or listener at all.
Right. Exactly. Like imagine if my top 10 was all festival films and I was like, the top 10 best movies I saw this year are shit you can't watch. Haha, suck it. Like
most of my top 10 is for me and the things that like mean a lot to me that I want to celebrate, but also I want to be able to share those things with other people. And if they haven't been released to share with other people, then no.
It's tough. I feel like when I'm critically speaking, I definitely always go for the accessibility. But when I'm like, it's my personal list, I'll be like, fuck it. I'm choosing the movie that I saw this year that I liked the most because I'm fancy. Just kidding, I'm not too fancy.
I don't think any of us are.
We fancy here. Do you see my shirt? What's bro do? We fancy.
You see my beer? It's Blue Moon.
I saw it. You have a good shirt, yes.
It has my name in it.
I almost pulled the trigger on that one. I was like, oh, do I?
Oh, we should have worn the Insidious shirts again. Or the James Wan shirts again. Well, anyway, am I frozen?
I feel like this is a Matt problem because I was waiting for him to reply to that and he didn't. And you can totally hear me right now.
Sorry, I didn't hear. Yeah, I guess this is a me problem somehow. I didn't hear what you just said, Jenny.
Oh, I said that we should have worn the James Wan shirts.
But we did that once and it didn't end well.
That's true. I'm so
we
sorry.
tried that already. So you know what? I actually heard that and I just didn't want to acknowledge it.
This show is unfriended the Matt edition.
I guess, but I have internet usually. What is happening? This
Yeah,
is bonkers. I'm
My
sorry.
internet's been
I
shit
apologize
today.
for everyone.
Oh.
What's movie number 3?
All right, so movie number 3 is actually coming out, I think, in December. So get ready. It's called To the Ends of the Earth by Kiyoshi Kurosawa, who did Cure and Pulse, if you guys are familiar with those Japanese horror movies. So this is not a horror movie, but it does have kind of horror elements in it, and it talks a lot about so it follows this woman who is on a food travel show, and it kind of incorporates a lot of like toxicity sometimes within cultural tourism and stuff like that. And it's really, really, really fascinating. And because it's him, it's really weird. But it's a little bit of a slow burn. But if you've seen his movies, you kind of know that that's what he does anyway. So, and I've recently fallen in love with him again. I wanted to program it for the festival this year, but alas.
Did you see? Sorry, I'm just curious, Jenny. Blood of Wolves just hit Shudder. Did you see it when it hit Fantastic?
No, I'm surprised I didn't.
Okay.
I don't know why I would have missed a South Korean action
I was gonna say
movie.
a South Korean action movie about gangsters, which is I thought it was like going to be a thing that you've seen and we could talk about it. But yeah, I loved it. Amelia and Lee both were raving about it, and Amelia literally was like, she's like, myself and Lee have written about this. Can you write a review for it? So I watched it, and dude, it rules. It's so good, and like it's not promoted as a Shudder original or exclusive. It just hit Shudder for no reason, and holy crap, it's go watch that. Go watch.
I've been planning on watching it. I feel like I am behind on new movies because, another thing that I can bring to the table is everyone should watch this in December if they can find it at their local virtual theater. Very emphasis on the virtual is the Wong Kar-wai 4K restorations. So I'm currently going through that to review that for the Chronicle, and there's a lot of them, but they're so good far.
The Austin Chronicle, so everyone knows.
Yes, the Austin Chronicle, because there's lots of chronicles in lots of cities.
That's fair. These were really good recommendations because I haven't seen any of those movies that you listed.
Yeah, I definitely recommend all of them, but the two that are accessible, because I was a jerk about Undine, it's not really accessible yet, even though I think it might be an Oscar eligibility movie this year. I'm not sure.
Something, because there's a reason that I'm well aware of what that is.
I mean, it was on a lot of virtual festivals, and I bet it'll be at the beginning of the year as well. So it's not unavailable. You just kind of have to keep an eye on it. But yeah, To the Ends of the Earth and House of Hummingbird, I definitely VOD recommend.
Some solid stuff right there. Guess what, Jenny? You have one number to pick from. Do you want number 1 or number 1?
I would like number -1. Just kidding. 1.
We get to end the show. We're done.
Is it Amelia?
You don't get to come on.
Oh, hi, look who it is.
I will leave the room. Bye, everyone.
Thank you so much for doing this. Happy Thanksgiving.
You too.
Bye.
Oh, look who's here.
Hi, Betsy.
You were so prompt. I feel like you were in that waiting room like at 8:30 on the dot.
Matt sent me the link. I clicked on the link.
How are your chips? I saw you like I'm so
They're very good.
I'm such a backstage stalker.
I'm eating barbecue pop chips.
Yes, they're delicious.
Yeah, they're very tasty.
Can I ask you another not movie related question?
Yes.
What is the last freshly that you ate?
The last one I had was my sausage one because they discontinued it, and I'm really sad.
Wait, the sausage with the spinach?
It's kale, and I always scoop it out and pour like half a can of green beans in it before I cook it because I don't fuck with sausage and kale.
Okay. Admittedly, I didn't love that one. I'm pulling up my freshly menu for you. By the way,
I'm gonna go get a drink while you guys do this.
you can do that. So there is someone who's watching right now who might appreciate this conversation, and it's Ian, because Ian gave me a whole bunch of freshly recommendations, and I gave him some back. But The sausage one that I'm obsessed with is the sausage bake penne. And
that one, yeah.
I like that one a lot. The sausage one that I actually have sitting in my fridge right now and should probably eat tomorrow is the carb swap cauli and sausage casserole, which like it's
I don't know if they have that in my area.
It's like a 3 out of 5 star for me. It's like on the cusp of a 3 or 4. I like it, but I don't love it. But my favorite is still the white bean turkey chili, and I purposely ate that yesterday because I don't like fresh cut turkey, but I wanted to feel like I ate turkey for Thanksgiving, so that's what I ate.
Makes sense.
Now you know my turkey story.
I support your turkey story. I got some very specific barbecue sauce from like one of my favorite joints to use on leftover turkey.
That's really good.
I mean, yeah, because like leftover turkey is dry and kind of sad, and you have it for a million years. So.
Wait, that's like when you chop it up and put it in a salad or a sandwich or something.
Yeah.
That's what gravy's for. It's not barbecue sauce. It's gravy.
Yeah, but gravy
One or
doesn't
the other.
in the fridge well, but barbecue sauce does. So I got this mustard vinaigrette hot sauce from a local barbecue joint that I really enjoy, and that's gonna get used on my turkey.
Amelia, have you tried this one yet?
Ooh, no, I haven't.
I don't think I have that on my menu.
I really want them to get a Japanese curry because they have regular curry, but I can't eat regular curry because I'm allergic to coconut.
Like on the Freshly menu?
Yeah, so they have a regular curry, and I feel like it might be locational because I don't think that sausage one that you mentioned is near.
Well, I've gone through that with Ian, where I think a couple of things we recommended to each other wasn't on the other's menu because of where we're located.
Yeah. Yeah. I have been eating a lot of the better for you beef and broccoli though.
That one I did try. I have another I have like a steak one coming up, the unwrapped steak burrito.
Yeah, it skipped this week for me because my usual delivery day is on Thursday, and they messaged me and they were like, "We're not sending you this." And I was like, that makes sense. That's fair.
So is this what y'all are thankful for this year, or like what are we talking about here?
I'm actually genuinely thankful for Freshly. Here, wait, just in case anybody else wants it. Here's my referral code. Honestly, you both know me well enough to know that this is true. I am very much a creature of habit, and I'm also a very picky eater. So the fact that I've been able to find a service like that encourages me to eat different things, I'm not even just saying it like as a joke. That's a big deal for me.
All right. Movies, Mr. Anxious. I am going to echo everybody seeing Birds of Prey's praises, mostly because I was a huge downer on that movie. Not because of the way it looked or for anything other than the fact that I was being a giant toddler, because it's not a Birds of Prey movie. So when they announced it, I was mad as hell because literally the only member of Birds of Prey that's in it is Huntress. I was like, why did you give it this name? Why is it named this? And I think I still stand by the fact that the name caused some unnecessary confusion, both because it's A, not a Birds of Prey movie, and B, the original name was so exhaustingly long that everybody was like, no. And they eventually changed it. But all the same, shouting out that movie as well, because DC does struggle from, not DC, Zack Snyder struggles from the fact that it does not like color. So it was really nice to see a color palette added again. Wonder Woman does it as well, so does Aquaman, both of which are also great movies. But I think Birds of Prey is gorgeous. It's fun. It's great to see Harley coming into her own, because even Margot Robbie, like, she would do interviews and be like, why is this strong, smart character beholden to this psychopath? What's happening? And that's very much a new iteration of Harley. And it's cool that we're getting that on the big screen as well as in the comic books. But my main two, my first one is kind of sort of cheating, but in the sense that it technically came out in 2019, but it got its release in 2020. So I'm standing by it. St. Francis is a perfect film, and they're because they came out during COVID, the release got so botched. Like, nobody, Angie and I actually talked about this. Like, nobody could tell her when the actual release date was. So their embargo was foobarred, their release was foobarred. It was super messy, and because of that, it did not get any sort of push to the general consumer. it's a perfect movie and I adore it. And it's an exceptional story from start to finish, and everybody should watch it. And I am deeply
I've not even heard of this.
So it follows a woman who's our age who she starts off the film getting an abortion, but it's not actually about her abortion. It's like they have an accident. She decides to do it. It's no big deal. And it's nice to see a film treat that as no big deal. Like, it's a hard decision for her, but like then it moves on with the story. Like, she moves on with her life, but she continues, like, as the story continues, like she continues to have spotting and all these other things that she continually pushes off because we don't teach women what their bodies do and what signals they should be looking for. So it calls that out while she's babysitting for this inter-race like super successful couple. Like, it's basically this mid-30s white girl who has no idea what she wants to do with her life and doesn't really care, who just happens to fall into this babysitting gig for these two deeply successful women who love each other, but they're fighting a lot because they're super successful and they're trying, or one of them is pregnant and again, so they can't like be as there for their other child who they adopted. Like, it's perfect. It's an exceptional movie. And it does a really good job telling the female story in a way that doesn't get told at all. It's great, and I highly recommend it.
Putting that on the list.
Yeah. You should text me when you watch it because I
will.
really enjoy it. It's also really, speaking of bright color palettes, it's really gorgeously filmed. And it's not the type of movie that you would expect to be like really pretty, but like I love the colors that they use. It's fun, it's funny, and it's fun and funny while telling a really complex story.
For anyone who wants to know, you can stream this movie on Starz, DirecTV, and Starz via Amazon. And then you can also rent it or buy it on a whole bunch of places, like all the usual suspects, like, you know, Apple and shit like that.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
My other one is one that I think you shouted out already, but I'm going to nod to it again because Bly Manor is gorgeous and wonderful. And so the first season resonated with me more because of personal stories, but the second season is still so gorgeous in such a completely different way, especially in the way that it tells its love story. And I am very persnickety and not very big on love. And so like the gardener's story is very much my story and how I perceive like that sort of ideal. And so just like watching the narrative that she goes through wrecked my whole life. I was ruined. Like, I'm texting Fouch, like, I need you to come cuddle me because I'm gonna die. I'm just gonna drown in my own tears now. Goodbye.
I'm so thankful that that show gave us Amelia Eve. And fun fact, do you know what I did around the time Bly Manor came out was I had to clear my cache on my computer, like, you know, on my Google Chrome. And you know when you clear your cache, but then you go back to, I don't know, like Instagram or something where you can go to a specific page and then Instagram automatically autofills that entire page. So now, because I cleared my cache around that show's release, every single time I go to Instagram, it goes to Tania Miller's Instagram page because that's when we released her episode of Ladies Night. And I'm not mad about it. It's
No. And I held out on my screeners for as long as I could because I knew that there was no situation where I wasn't going to binge them.
Yeah.
And I'm so thankful that I did because at the time I didn't know what Eric Goldman and other critics were tweeting about, but Netflix botched the screener order and people who watched it early got episode 8 first.
I had early access for those interviews and I didn't have anything pushing me to watch episode 8.
No. And like, I feel like I started mine a month in advance. So like they had screeners ready for this so early and I started like 3 weeks out and I was still fine. But like people who watched it the second the links were sent got episode 8 first. And for those who haven't seen it, no spoilers, but Bly Manor handles exposition deeply differently from the way that The Haunting of Hill House does, whereas Hill House will give you the exposition gradually throughout the season, and it'll ramp up towards the end. Bly Manor gives you all of the exposition in episode 8, but it's exposition that you don't necessarily want before episode 8. So a lot of critics were like,
what the fuck?
I still haven't even watched it yet.
I know. I'm mad about it.
October was so heavy with
I know,
reviews
but I was
for
so
her.
close to getting you to watch it, and then you were like, just kidding. I'm going to watch this other thing first. And then it
Cobra
was
Kai. What else?
You watched Cobra Kai before you watched this, because as soon as you finished Cobra Kai, I sent you that text going, Bly Manor, Bly Manor, Bly Manor. You contrarian little shit.
And then I watched 7 seasons of Someone Feed Phil.
Amelia, have you watched Cobra Kai?
I am obsessed with Cobra Kai.
Okay, making sure. I got very worried for a second.
Like angrily texting Matt, like, would you just watch this fucking show?
Who's your favorite Cobra Kai character? Young and older generation.
I love Johnny's story. I hate him, like, especially in season 1, because they do a really good job showing, like, I did not just magically get better. Like, I'm still this super flawed giant jerk, but watching him learn and grow has been such a huge gift. And showing Daniel's flaws has been such a smart move. I love Aisha. I can't remember Daniel's daughter's name right now, but I kind of hate her.
Damn, Mary Mouser. She's wonderful. She's
like, you're supposed to be annoyed by her because she is also going through the growth. And like, when you grow up with a sanctimonious dad, like, you're gonna have a little bit of those vibes. But she's learning young, and of course, like, you can't not adore Miguel.
I love Miguel, but I'm also I'm obsessed with Hawk.
I hate him so much.
I hate Hawk. Pro Stingray though. I mean, Stingray is just where it's at.
Stingray, I do love
Stingray. Team Stingray.
I do love Stingray.
Of course, you're.
He brings like this adult woman to a high school party. He's my squad.
Where's Evan? I'm surprised Evan's not here shouting about Dimitri. Who likes Dimitri?
Oh, Dimitri's a sweetie.
Oh,
I'm a fan of Dimitri.
His arc that we've now gotten to, I think I did not expect to get so taken by Cobra Kai. It was a one-off to me. I didn't have the nostalgic factor. There was nothing that drove me to it. And yet, I think the end of season 2 is one of the biggest, like, oh fuck moments I've had in media this year. Everything I've binged, everything I've watched, that is the biggest hit to me that I've like, I have to. This new season, I'm like pins and needles. I need to know what happens next.
Can I tell you guys something really cool? / do a shameless plug. You know how we're doing that movie club show?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So the last episode was Mallrats with Kevin Smith, and the next episode that we're doing is Karate Kid because it's available on Screen Pass through Movies Anywhere. And you know who our guests are for the show? The 3 EPs of Cobra Kai.
Oh hell yeah!
And they like. I think part of the reason why Cobra Kai is so special is because they're approaching it as fans first and foremost, but they know their Karate Kid shit, and they were just the perfect guys to have on that show. Yeah. I'm so pumped.
I definitely came at it from like the same perspective that Matt did, which is why I was pushing him so hard to watch it, because every argument that he had was my argument, and I was like, okay, yes, I understand, but you're wrong. And like, especially because when I started watching it in season 1, and I watched it because my roommate kept pushing me, and I like, first of all, I like the Karate Kid, but I'm not nostalgic for it. I don't have any like deep-seated love. I enjoy it, and that's where my relationship ends, except I definitely cried when Mr. Miyagi died. And then it was on YouTube TV, and I was like, there's no way that something YouTube TV produces is going to be worthwhile. And I ate every single word I had when I watched the first season. I was like, how is this show so exceptional, both to the hardcore, like deep-seated, crazy fans of Karate Kid, and to someone like me who's just like, I like Karate Kid, but I'm not like, oh my God, Karate Kid.
Okay, first, that's little me taking karate with my sensei.
Wait,
Because it's
shit.
Karate
Hold
Kid.
on.
I really loved that movie growing up. But also, for anyone out there who shares Amelia's feelings about nothing that YouTube Originals makes could have been good, like One Cobra Kai, we obviously think is good, but also Impulse got a very unfair response. That was the show that was based off of Jumper with Maddie Hassan. And it isn't as tied to Jumper as you might think. It's more of just the overall concept. But that show ran for 2 seasons, was really, really good. But because the whole YouTube original content thing didn't really pan out as one might hope, that show didn't get the eyes it deserved. And it's very unfortunate.
Also, like we do forget that like YouTube bought things like Bodied. And I know your reaction to Bodied, Amelia, but like they did do some other, I guess, acquisition work that was notable. But I guess their original stuff, yeah, it never met to where it should be.
Yeah. And like the thing about Karate Kid is it never needed a huge budget to be exceptional.
No, not at all.
It out. And now that it's at Netflix, like I'm really curious what we're going to see come out of season 3 now that it's not at YouTube.
So much. Exactly. You get the budget, you get everything you need. Like,
Yeah.
come on.
Yeah.
Also Jenny saying the Paris Hilton doc was a YouTube original, and
Good.
I did not see it.
I haven't seen
I'm
it.
trying to find a picture because my dad is a 6th degree black belt in Taekwondo.
Oh my
Of
god.
course he is.
It's legitimately like, and he's
If
only
I-
not a 7.
If I was in LA, I would run into my room right now and get my book. Your dad's book.
Yeah. Oh, I have the book next to me. But like legitimately, he's only not a 7th. If my mom is watching, she's gonna tell him it's fine, whatever. He's only not a 7th degree because he didn't want to go to Korea to do the test. Like he could have been a 7th degree, which is like the highest you can go in this Taekwondo. And legitimately, he's just like, yeah, I'm good at 6. I don't want to go to Korea. It's fine. Like the dude is a beast.
That's incredibly impressive.
I'm trying to find. Yeah. So not, in addition to being a tracker of serial killers, he's also a 6th degree black belt. Hold on. Wait. This is. It's got to go to you, Perri, because I got to message it to you really quick.
I think
Sorry.
I wound up testing for my 2nd degree in brown belt, but that was already when I was like late in high school, and I was like focused on other things.
Yeah.
So I never made it past that point.
So like my dad did all of those, and then he got to like literally 6th degree on black belt. Yeah.
Oh, I got it. Oh my god.
So and I'll explain. I'll explain when this.
Your dad is so badass. I can't handle it.
Okay. When you see this.
Okay, guys. I'm getting it. I'm getting the image. I love how StreamYard saves all the images. So I have all the screen images I've
it's all there.
All right.
So
There we go.
that is the top of a punching bag. That is not the middle. That is not anything. That is the top of a punching bag, and he is doing a flying sidekick. So he has jumped high enough to do a flying sidekick into the top of this fucking punching bag.
That's not
All I'm gonna say. And then this came out. Like how the fuck did this produce out of that?
That is incredibly impressive, Matt.
I read about movies.
not-
My dad could kick my
You
ass.
might
It's
not
fine.
be able to do a flying sidekick, but you could run a good half marathon.
I can run I think the biggest point of pride my dad takes is the day that I beat him in it was a 5K, and I ran like.
I guess you meant 10K. The Jurassic thing was 10K?
We were 10. I did a 5
Yeah.
like years before that, and like the first time I beat him was the time he's like, "Son of a bitch," like it was that.
All right. Amelia, we are going to let you go. We appreciate you sharing your movies that you're thankful for with us.
Thanks for having me.
We'll see you soon.
Bye.
Okay, bye.
Oh no, now I need to take it out of this.
Now
game.
I'm tiny.
Okay.
Now I'm a
You're
little.
tiny. Now you're big again. All right, Matt.
All right.
Do you want to say
All right.
goodbye and good night to everybody? This was fun. This was like 2 hours of just like fucking chill fun.
I know. I can't believe people are still here.
Sorry,
This is
guys.
ridiculous. Anyway.
Apparently, everybody thought I said the F word a lot last week.
Oh, Perri, how
Was it
terrible.
last week or the week before?
I don't know. Did you say it too much? I usually say it, so I get yelled at every week by my mom, so that's fine.
Okay. No, my mom doesn't yell at me. My mom, yeah. I don't think I ever get Merri Hour lectures.
I could. You do so good, but if you have to say all those words.
Oh, all right.
Sorry.
Well, it's fair. It's fair.
You know that when you drink, you say the F word too much. Yeah, sorry. My bad.
Well, to everybody out there who hung with us for 2 hours, thank you guys so much. Oh, Evan has clarified. It wasn't last week, it was the week before where I had a foul mouth.
Week before.
Thank
Foul
you
Perri.
for doing it, Christy. Fuck it.
Fuck it. Exactly. Fuck it.
Fuck it. That's what the Merri Hour is for. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us tonight. I hope you are staying safe. If you can be, you're with loved ones. And if you can't be with the people that you want to be with right now, you've got the Merri Hour every Friday night. Seriously, jump into that live chat. We do this because we want to hang out with you guys and have fun and just relax. So thank you again. Stay safe, and we will see you next Friday with some more beer pong.